Can you get in shape with 5 minutes at a time? Yes, the data proves it. We're going to talk about how you can get in shape when you only have 5 minutes.
We're just
5 minute abs.
We just keep lowering the bar.
No, right? We go 15 to 5.
Yeah,
like 1 minute.
Just think about it. You just got to think about it.
No. Okay, so here's what the studies show, okay? Studies use 5 minute bouts of activity and compare them to longer bouts of activity so long as the cumulative total is the same. In other words, can I work out 3 times a day for 5 minutes at a time? And will that give me similar benefits to doing a 15-minute workout? Here's what the data actually shows. It's actually better. Yeah. In fact, there was a study that showed that 4 to 5 5-minute bouts of exercise burned as many calories as one 30-minute bout of exercise. Wow. How awesome is that? In other words,
it's way awesome.
Spreading it out.
20 to 25 minutes of exercise done 5 minutes at a time burned as many calories as one 30-minute bout of exercise. We also have studies showing that it increases the metabolic rate throughout the day. Insulin sensitivity. There was a study showing that people who did 5-minute bouts of exercise 3 times a day had a 20 to 25% improvement in insulin sensitivity without changing their diet. So this is actually, they're calling it micro workouts, as if you want to look up the data.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable. And now this is something that we implemented with our clients who had issues with time. Like it was hard for them to find a big block of exercise. However, in the past, when we did this, we've talked about this before, we would see these weird, good results from it. Yeah. It was like this second option.
And it was like a band-aided option, but honestly, it had great results.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, look what happened to the release of MAPS 15.
Yes.
I mean, we did not release that going like, this is going to get our people the most results, but
it was like, for people who have very little time to exercise.
Yeah, but if you look back and you evaluate all the different programs that we've released and all the great reviews that we've gotten on all of them, I would make the case maybe MAPS Anabolic is still maybe a little ahead, but it's not fair to compare because MAPS Anabolic has got like an 8-year head start.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, if we're comparing apples to apples since MAPS 15 has been released, nothing has come close to the amount of reviews of people saying, oh my God, this program's awesome. And it's it's 15 minutes a day.
Now we're going to talk about what these 5-minute workouts should look like. But first, let's talk about like the 5 reasons why these are so effective, both in the data and again, in our experience as trainers over the last 25 years. I think number one, for me at least, is I found client adherence was astounding in comparison to other options. It's really easy to implement. Like finding, imagine doing 4 5-minute workouts a day for 20, so that's 20 minutes total. Trying to find 20 random minutes throughout the day that's not scheduled can actually be quite difficult, especially if you have kids, you have a job, you've got responsibilities. But throughout the day, at least probably 10 times a day, if I really was paying attention, I had 5 minutes here and there where I could do something. So this is a very easy way to implement activity. And when you're looking at a 30-minute, 40-minute block for your workout, sometimes this is typically what it looks like. It's either I do it or I don't have the time. When I have 5 minutes at a time, maybe I don't ever come up with 40 minutes, but I probably come up with 15 minutes, like 3 times, right? So in other words, you do something rather than nothing. This has to be the best benefit, in my opinion.
It's the ultimate meet people where they're at process, right? So like most people that hire you weren't exercising just the month before. So meeting them where they're at currently is, well, okay, where they're at is currently doing nothing. So getting that person to commit to 5 minutes a couple times a day is a very small ask in comparison to, can you work with me 2 or 3 times a week for an hour? That's far, and it's not to say that that's not doable also, and that a lot of people can figure that out, because a lot of people do figure that out. But talk about the ultimate meet you where you're at is, hey, listen, you don't really got to change much anything in your lifestyle. Just, I guarantee that we all are guilty of scrolling on our phone for a minimum of 5 minutes a couple times a day, or just not doing anything, or walking. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do for 5 minutes throughout the entire day. It's like, listen, just pick some weights up or do a body weight exercise and spend the 5 minutes doing that. That's all I'm asking. Try to do that 2-3 times a day. Watch what happens.
Well, most people view working out as work. And so it's really psychologically easy to justify, well, I don't really have time for it here. I have all these things preceding that.
That's right.
I can't really fit that in this nice little window because, that's going to interrupt my call that I have at this point. So if you can reduce that down to something that's like, you can't argue that you don't have 5 minutes. Like you can totally implement that and then do that frequently. It just helps to kind of build upon that frequency and momentum.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the data is really interesting on this, everybody. Like it seems to be better for your health. It seems to have better effects than the same total time done all at once, which is wild. In other words, again, wild. I'll say it again, 5-minute workouts spread throughout the day will give you better benefits, according to the data, than one 25-minute workout or maybe even one 30 to 35
Well, doesn't it make sense so that it would make that person a bit more active? Like that would spread it out, so they would be up and moving and, actively going to pursue that exercise. Maybe they do something else, but they're probably not as sedentary.
I would guess it has something to do with this, right? You get this afterburn effect from activity. It's short-lived, but it's like you create these frequent afterburn effects throughout the day. It also, fatigue plays less of a role, and fatigue reduces energy output. So like when you're working out and it starts to get real tired, oh my God, I can't do anymore. You start to burn less energy.
It gets less effective.
Right, so like 5 bouts of 5-minute exercise, each one of those bouts is probably gonna be more intense just naturally because fatigue isn't a factor. And then for insulin sensitivity, guys, this is a big deal, right? So maintaining insulin sensitivity. You probably hear people talking in the health space, right, about mitochondrial health and how important this is, right? Keep your mitochondria healthy. They're now linking mitochondrial dysfunction or poor health to every disease you could think of. Remember, the mitochondria are like I hate this term because it's more complex than this, but they're like the engine of every cell. A healthy mitochondria typically means a healthy cell. A dysfunctional or unhealthy mitochondria typically means an unhealthy cell, and in bad cases is like cancerous or chronic disease. Well, when I'm doing short bouts of exercise, I'm improving insulin sensitivity all day long. Rather than getting this one long effect that starts to wear off, I'm kind of spreading it out throughout the entire day. That means when I eat, less insulin is required to to shuttle those nutrients into my muscles or my liver. It's probably better for insulin sensitivity. And I think this is probably the biggest health benefit from these short, frequent workouts. It also increases energy all day long through catecholamine production. So catecholamines, epinephrine, dopamine, maybe you can put in that category, norepinephrine. When you do a little bout of exercise, you produce a little bit more of these, okay? So it would give you more energy all day long by breaking your day up with even 3 5-minute bouts of exercise. What would that lead to? What would more energy throughout the day lead to?
More productivity.
More productivity, probably more activity.
Yeah.
There's downstream effects from that increased catecholamine production.
Better mood.
Better mood is a big one, Adam. I remember with trigger sessions in MAPS Anabolic, when I first wrote MAPS Anabolic and I was testing it, I was dogged about not missing trigger sessions. I had to test this program. This is the first program I ever created for commercial release or whatever. So I never missed one. And there were so many days when it's in the middle of the day or end of the day, I have another trigger session to do. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm lazy. I'm watching something. I don't want to do this. I get up and force myself, and it always produced energy. There was always like a jolt of caffeine almost just from doing that. So I think that those benefits are tremendous. The fourth point is it keeps fitness and health top of mind. So here's what the studies show with exercise by itself. When people start exercising, even if they have no intentions of changing their diet, they tend to change their diet.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? They're doing something for their health.
Yeah.
So when you're doing something for your health, you tend to want to do more things for your health. Now, this is not guaranteed, but it is a real effect. Yeah. Imagine if all day long, throughout the day, you were breaking your day up with 5-minute bouts of exercise.
Make better choices.
Yes, I 100% believe this is going to lead to better food choices, better health choices just throughout the day. Today's program giveaway is MAPS Aesthetic. If you want to win, leave a comment below this video. In the first 24 hours that we drop it, subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comments section. We also have a sale. The Shredded Summer Bundle and the Bikini Bundle of workout programs. All of that is 50% off. Go to mapsfitnessproducts.com and then use the code June50 for the discount. Back to the show.
It almost always is. That's why you always hear people talking about how Monday through Friday always tends to be easier too. When you're busy, you're working, you're doing things like when you're doing stuff and when you're doing healthy moving stuff, it's easier to make those better choices. It's the hardest times are when you're sedentary, when you don't have a schedule, when you're just kind of laying around watching TV. That's when the bad choices come in. I always feel like if I got a workout in or I got exercise in, it's so much easier if and when those cravings come to be like, oh no, I don't want to. I worked out today. I want to be good. It's just easier to do that. No one else holding me to that standard except for myself. And I find that too, even in a partnership in our relationship. Katrina's the same way. Many times, this is one of the things, kind of a rule her and I have always made in our relationship is that like, you know, we're a team and one of us has always got to be on, right? Like, so.
Yeah, so one can be crappy. But
like exactly. So like if like right now she's better on her routine than I am. Now what's great about that is I'm the one who's probably going to be more likely to bring us down like, oh man, you know, it sounds good, some pizza right now. I want to eat that. And she's like, no, I got my workout in today. I don't want to have that. And I'm like, shit. Okay. You know, because she's like that.
You don't want to both be in
No. So we feed off of each other like that. So we joke about that. Like, or there's times too where she'll call me. She's like, hey, you got to get your workout in today because I got a crazy week this week, and so you got to hold down the team. And so we know that if one of us is holding down the team and on their fitness, that they also hold the other one accountable with their nutrition habits because they just make better choices, and the other one doesn't ever want to drag the team all the way down. So it's like this little hack that we've figured out.
Yeah, it's interesting too, thinking about like fatigue in general, and like when you're tired and you have like midday lull and all that too, a lot of times that's when cravings come in, and that's when you're making worse decisions. And so if you're like spreading this out and you're getting little doses, that really it charges you up, it energizes you. And so it's like you're almost staving off that craving signal by also eliminating that fatigue.
Well, you're probably staving off any behavior you have that will make you feel a little better because you're feeling crappy.
Yeah.
Because moving makes you feel generally better.
Talking about your trigger sessions, I remember when we all first got together, obviously you had already written that program. I was in the thick of competing, and I really wasn't implementing things like trigger sessions until we all got together. And what I did was I put the bands. I used to have this closet attached to the same room our living room and TV room was at. And I just told myself, like, whenever I had this desire to go in and watch TV and sit on the couch, I'd be like, oh, I'll do a trigger session first. Yeah. What I found ended up happening all the time is like, that always ended up sparking, like I was about to go watch TV. I said, hey, I just want to do a couple of chest flies, curls, like some basic stuff real quick. And then I'll do that. And then when I did that, it would eliminate that desire to sit down and lay down and be lazy. And it was just wild how I wouldn't tell myself, no, I can't watch TV. That's bad or anything like that. I didn't judge myself for that. I just said, oh, I'm heading towards the living room where the bands were already set up. Let's do these 3 exercises real quick, and then I'll sit down. And then I do that and be like, oh, I'm motivated to go for a walk. I'm gonna go do some dishes. I'm gonna do something around the house. Like I instantly had energy and was revived again. And so it's such a cool way too to hack into
it. Also is a better way of strengthening that discipline muscle. Right? Because I know it's only 5 minutes. So, all right, fine, I'll go do this 5-minute thing. And when I do that consistently, I keep promises to myself.
Stacking wins.
And I just keep stacking wins. And you end up becoming, this is what I notice with my clients. I would do this with clients when they were like super busy, vacation. I'd say, oh, you know what, do a couple sets of body squats and a couple sets of push-ups here and there. And they would tell me, you know what, it actually made everything else better as a result. It also increases body awareness and awareness around your nutrition and how you feel due to the frequency. So you eat something that makes you bloated, you got to go do a 5-minute workout. And you're like, oh, I feel kind of bloated. I'm aware of the fact that I feel kind of bloated, or I'm aware of the fact that I'm feeling this particular way. It increases overall awareness of your body, how your body feels, how your muscles feel. By the way, this is a big deal. Like one of the advantages that fitness fanatics have over other people is they're quite aware of how their body feels. They know good pain and bad pain. You know what brings that awareness? Movement. Lack of movement takes it away.
Do you think that that's like some sort of a feedback loop, like because you're flexing your muscles, you're doing something like that you're focusing on that, therefore you're also now paying attention to it? There's like some sort of a feedback loop.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, and it's all good movement. All right, so let's talk about the best exercises you can utilize for these 5-minute little bouts. Here's some good suggestions. None of these require any equipment, although resistance bands are an option. They're super convenient. You can do almost anything with the resistance bands. But I like planks or crunches. This is real easy. You could lay on the floor for 5 minutes. You could mess around and do a few sets of those exercises. You could do body weight squats. This one probably has the greatest insulin sensitizing effect because it's such a big movement. Push-ups. This one's funny. This one's funny because I've had friends that I made fun of in the past, although they got great results from it, and I totally disregarded their results and thought it was something else, where they were like, I want to get bigger triceps or bigger chest, so I'm just going to do push-ups all day long. And I remember early days as a trainer, like, that's not how it works. You got to go hammer, you got to go. And then they would get like great results. And I would always be like, no, that was your strength training workout. But they'd be like, no, I'm doing like 50 push-ups a day, throughout the day type of deal. Body rows or band rows are really good. Lunges. And then here's another one, a power walk. You could literally go do a 5-minute, let me walk really fast outside, come back in, and you'll get the benefits of those.
Swivel that booty.
This 5.
Exactly what came to mind.
Can't help it. It's like, I laugh every time
You're talking about like speed walking?
Somebody speed walking.
You ever seen those guys? What makes someone a speed walker versus a runner?
Yeah.
Why don't you just run?
Because
when are you actually?
What makes him run?
I'll tell you.
What?
No. What makes him?
What disqualifies you with speed walking? No, you're running now.
No. It's the opposite. It's you tend to speed walk because you've heard of all the negative effects of running.
Oh.
But you want to burn, you want to sweat, and so you do that. So that's also the same people that carry the power walk with the weights and stuff. It's like you want to get this extra benefit of the hard push and the hard work, but you also have heard of all the negative effects of the impact of running on concrete, which is, at least in my experience, obviously there's always exceptions to the rule, and that's
but what I mean is when there's a competition, because they actually have this Olympic sport.
Is it an Olympic sport?
I don't know if it still is, but I saw it in one of the Olympics.
Walking, it was for a minute.
Yeah. When do the judges go, you're running? Like, what is it that makes it?
You mean like where's that line?
Yeah.
Oh, that's when you.
Is it just both feet have to come off the ground at the same time?
Yeah. That's got to be like when you run. There's a moment where both feet are in air, right?
So that's probably what it is.
Yeah,
it's probably one foot always has to be on the ground in order to qualify.
I bet if we could look at. I bet you can Google the rules.
Bro.
What Google the rules? What constitutes speed walking, and how do you break?
You ever watch that in the Olympics?
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous.
It's my favorite.
Like, what do you guys do?
No, it's not the most ridiculous. Most ridiculous was the breakdancing.
That'll
go down in history as the great. I mean, what else has had that many memes?
Am I right? Is that okay? So one foot always has to be.
Is that you right, or is that me right?
No. 1 foot always.
I know, but it's pretty much
first.
Oh, you did. Huh? I pretty much said it.
We recorded it. Rewind the tape.
Play back.
All right. I got a study for you guys on glute activation. I got to find it.
I want to address a study while you're doing that.
What?
Too.
So, you have a study too?
Well, I want to call out a study that we've referenced that I have heard now. This has now been, and I believe it was MIT, and I heard I heard Stanford did one that has debunked a study that we've touted many times. And so anytime we say something on this podcast where we reference as fact because of some study, and then I hear of another study that's come out and has basically kind of debunked it.
What was it?
It was one about income. What do we always talk about? Income. Happiness.
Yeah. Past a certain point, you don't get happier.
Yes. And so that's been debunked or redone. And it also has been kind of misinterpreted, even the way the original one was. So the original one is what happens is after 75, and by the way, this has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, because of inflation.
Because of inflation and where you live and also with that. So, but let's just say that
the old study was
the definition of inflammation has changed.
Yeah.
Inflation.
Inflation, information.
It does inflame me though when I think about it. So so the old study was $75,000. Past that, no additional happiness.
Yeah, and that's not true. Additional happiness continues, but the rate of it in ratio slows down.
So you get diminishing returns.
Exactly. So it's like 75. So like let's say at 75, it's like this up to 75. It's like this steep climb, and then it gets to 7. And by the way, again, this has changed. It's actually 250 now. Okay. So it's 70, but then it does this.
Yeah.
So it's not that it doesn't keep going. It
slows the.
It still keeps going. It still keeps going up, and it's not until you reach like 1 million do we start to see like adverse things like depression and all this stuff like that, and then there's a lot of theories around like why.
You know what's interesting about that I'll counter is that we have really good data on the things that have massive impacts on your happiness that are a lot easier to get than to make $250,000 a year.
Yeah,
for sure. Wait, explain what your thought.
So,
here?
like for example, if I were to say to you,
like spend time with family. If
yes,
you, like that.
Like there are things that have a way more of a of a return.
This is why I wanted to talk about this because I think it brings up a really interesting discussion because I after reading like the original study and then hearing this too, and I'm like evaluating my own personal journey in life on that. It's like, is that true to me? Is like, have I has it been like totally diminishing return as it's scaled, say in the last decade? And I would say no. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why I've continued to get happier the more money I make. And part of and there's also this theory too of why it diminishes is because as you get really, really high, like say above $500,000 a year, and they say at 1 million you start to get there becomes more anxiety, more stress and stuff like that. Well, that's because you have a new responsibility. Like managing that much money, believe it or not, is stressful. There's a lot comes, and then what a lot of people do is have bad relationships with money. So as they get up to $1 million, they just now have more cars, bigger mortgage, more expensive things. So like
I can also imagine that
there's
work
got to be a speed and a rate at which you receive money versus like the work and
that's the thing, because there's also like there are jobs that earn a lot of money that you're making more money, but that is a stressful ass job.
Well, this is okay. So it also really depends on how you spend this money. So one of the things I've tried to do is I've gotten older and I've gotten a better relationship with it. Is a lot of the money that I've learned to spend as I've made more money is to buy back time. And that I'm so grateful for that.
Right.
I'm so grateful that I've reached a level of income that I can spend money on something that maybe at an earlier time in my life, I would have to go do that thing physically. Right. And so, and that way it wasn't even a question. It was like, what, mow my own lawn and do those things? Like, of course I'm going to do that. I only got to do it once a week. It only takes me an hour or whatever like that. Where now it's like, of course I'm not going to do that.
I spend that with my kid.
Exactly. I'm going to be with my wife, or I'm going to go swimming in my pool with my son. Like that is, and let me tell you, the amount of happiness that gives me versus doing that thing is exponential. Yeah. So I think if as that increase, now here's why I think they're like that, why that study is so flawed too, is like, I think a lot of people are so concerned with what other people think, and as they make more money, they actually end up spending a lot of their money on the other things for other people, not themselves. Whereas and let me tell you, when I was in my early and late 20s, a lot of my spending probably looked like that. It was like a lot of the things I bought, which we've talked many times about the boundaries
like
I've put.
Keeping up or like peacock.
Yeah, it's more about look at me versus like, does this really fulfill me, or does it buy time back so I can do other things? And as I've gotten older, more of those things are like that. Like these are way more fulfilling.
I would say, to add to that, if a lack of money is preventing you from doing the real important things, like spend time with your family, spend time on growing yourself, then yes, more money probably makes a big difference.
Huge
because
difference.
those things make a big difference.
Huge.
Yes. But to add to that, right? Because you look at the data on like lottery winners and stuff like that, like they end up in the same place happiness wise.
And that is because they didn't, to Justin's point, they didn't earn that money. They didn't work their way up to that level. And so they didn't create like I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah, that mentality doesn't exist when it's just given. At that level.
Right. Or you get it overnight so fast, right? Versus like like to get to the level where I'm at today, it took me a really long time. Yeah. And so I had to learn. A lot of lessons to learn. Yeah, a lot of lessons were learned along the way. By no means did I have it like figured out right away. Yeah. And by no means did the dollar amount really solve that. It was a lot of the things I learned now. But when I look back and I reflect, like, okay, reflecting now today, if you took half of my income, would it take away some of my happiness? Absolutely it would. Yeah. Because I've learned to spend that money in ways that get me back things with greater return. To your point of like, there's other things you can go do, i.e. vacation with my family, you know what I'm saying? Or going to a really nice dinner, all of us together, and I can take the entire family and pay the whole bill and not worry about it. Or pay the guy to go do that labor that I normally would do, and now I'm spending time with my, like, that stuff is
There's
like
also
incredibly valuable.
There's also this interesting
That's all
phenomena.
come full circle
Yeah,
for
and
me.
there's also this interesting phenomena where people are happy with their attributes when they're better than other people. In other words, I'm smart. That's cool, but I feel way better when I'm smarter than the people I'm around. Or I have this much money. That's cool, but I feel way better when my money is more than the people around me. And this is a strange, it's like a dark circle phenomena that results in people just chasing something that's not important. Again, when it comes to happiness, there are things that have huge return, and there are things that have not that high of a return. For example, we use fitness, right? Looking beautiful has a little bit of a return on happiness, but the some of the things that we do to look beautiful, like exercise and eat right, have a huge return that's not connected to how you look. It's actually connected to all the other things.
Did you see the clip that I shared that Arthur Brooks did just the other day? Like, there's an actual ratio. There's actually a formula to it.
It's basically what it is to put it the way he does, or a little differently. It's less about the things that you have. It's more about wanting less.
Yes. That's the secret.
The secret is wanting less.
And that I've learned to do. So as the money has gone up exponentially over decades, I've also learned to be happy more with the stuff I'm already like grateful for what I already currently have, and I want less than what I wanted before. That has been that of more importantly than the actual dollar amount per year has been, as it's gone up, I've learned to invest it in things that get back the things that give me more return, like the family times, like the vacations, like the dinners, like the stuff like that. And then the things that I currently have, I'm so grateful that I already have those things, and I'm not constantly going, I wish I had that. I wish I could have that. Like, it's just like, no, actually, when I think about it, like, damn, I really have the stuff that I want. I'm really, really content.
I don't want anything else.
Yeah, I don't really want anything else. Like, sure, I could have that thing, and sure, like, I'm not saying that I wouldn't mind having it, but I don't really want it that bad. Or I'd have it, and because I can go have it. And so the fact that I know that I can and I don't gives me a ton of fulfillment over that, and I prioritize other things.
I think the problem is that a lot of people are oversold on the happiness that making a lot of money will give them. And so they think that this is the secret. This is what's going to do it for me. And what the data shows is it's not.
I think we've just done a really poor job of communicating it.
You're right.
Yes. Because I actually, again, back to my point.
It's a tool.
Exactly. And it can create incredible happiness as you go up. It really can. But it doesn't statistically, and what the studies show, because most people don't do the right thing with it.
Remember that study I brought up that showed that when you buy something new, there's this this happiness that you feel that fades. And if you buy that same thing again, you don't get the same effect.
Right.
Okay. You have to get something new.
Versus doing something for somebody.
Versus using that money to do something for someone, like genuinely out of your heart.
It lasts forever.
The happiness goes up, but then when you think about it, for the next 10 years, you still get happy.
I share this. When we all first met, you shared publicly. I never shared it publicly about what I used to do every Christmas, and that was something that before I even really had that much money, I started to do. And I can think right now in this moment, I can envision walking in those rooms, those houses, putting the Christmas tree up and being like, oh my God, it fulfills me so much. And it wasn't even that crazy. I mean, buying someone a Christmas tree and some presents and stuff like that, not a major investment, huge return. I can still today think about that moment. Now, ask me to think about a thing that I bought for a toy or a whatever I bought 10 years ago or something, and like it
was exciting when you did
that moment, and then that was
like right now I'd be like, I wouldn't even buy that thing right now. Like it did, like it's something I saved up for, I bought, and I wouldn't even care. And so that highlights that point.
Bishop Barron called that spiritual physics. He said when you pour out, you get more. You get more of that joy.
Yeah, Arthur Brooks calls it the when you're the things you want, the ratio of the things that you want.
It's like what you want divided by the things that you
already have,
something like that.
Some formula. And when that ratio is flipped is when you're unhappy, and when it's appropriately balanced, you have happiness.
In essence, it's wanting less, not having more.
Yeah.
That's what it breaks down to. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, I have a free guide that teaches you how to lose fat in 3 steps, just 3 steps that will burn the most amount of body fat and help keep it off. This guide is totally free. We're giving it to everybody right now. If you want it, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show. All right, so I got a study that I want you guys to break down, because the average person will read this study and they're going to look at it face value. Now, people who understand exercise and strength training, I think we can look at the study and see what the heck's going on here. So here's the title of the study: Glute activation exercises don't work. Recent study finds. So glute activation drills are a popular warm-up method to supposedly increase muscle activity in the glute muscles. So here's what the study did. They had women do exercises to activate their glutes, like tube walks or whatever. Then what they did is they had them do jumps. They had them jump as high as they could. And then they checked glute activation compared to women who didn't do glute activation. And what they found was no increased activation.
Well, of course. You're talking about, I mean, this is what we know about PAP, right? So an explosive jump is going to recruit more muscle than in any of those things anyways. So a better test would have been do those things, have them do a basic movement like a squat or a lunge and see if they get as much or more activation. Having them go do an explosive movement, which has the highest level of recruitment.
That's max recruitment.
Yeah, it's max recruitment. This is like, and by the way, anybody who's never tested this, such a cool experiment to go do. Go do something like that's explosive, and then go over and do, like, I used to love to do butt kicks or jump kicks real quick, and then go into squats. Like, oh my god, like you have activated everything.
Well, so the way I break this down is when I'm trying to get a client to feel their glutes more during an exercise, I'll have them do, let's say, hip bridges. Now, it only works if it then changes their technique in the following exercise. Now, why would it change their technique? Because here's what happens. Mrs. Johnson does glute bridges. I go, okay, you feel that? You feel your glutes? Okay, now I want you to try and feel your glutes while you're squatting. And what happens is their technique changes. When you take somebody and have them jump, this is a fast movement, you ain't changing the way they move. You can activate them all they want. The way that they're jumping, unless you fatigue the hell out of them, which will probably change it in a bad direction, isn't going to change much. So when I took a client who couldn't feel their lats or couldn't feel their pecs in an exercise, it wasn't like, do this activation, then just go do the exercise. It was like, okay, now that you feel that, let's go do that exercise again and try to feel it.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I wonder why.
If that's a magical activation thing.
So they weren't actually prompting them to, like, intrinsically try to recruit as they're jumping.
They were just like, here's some tube walks. Okay, jump.
Well, because jumping, your mind isn't a huge part of that.
No, it's too fast.
It's what a terrible exercise to use to do this. I mean, again, this is where my brain always goes like, let's unpack who fucking funded this study. Why did they do this study? What's the reason behind this? Because it's almost like you were trying to get that to prove a point to make that fail, because you would never do an explosive movement. You would never do what we call a priming movement, right? A prime movement first, and try and make the case that it would create greater muscle activation than an explosive movement. Yeah. You just wouldn't do that.
Well, it's just explosive movements are fast. Combo. They're learned. They're hardwired.
They're also going to recruit the most amount of muscle.
It's about the movement, though. It's not about the muscle.
That's right.
So they use the movement exercise.
That also,
not a muscle
right?
Exercise.
That also, you're also doing a thing that you're doing something that garners the most amount of muscle recruitment is a movement focused, not muscle focused exercise. That's why I said you'd be far better off having that person do that and then go do like a
slow exercise.
Yeah, a slow grinding squat or deadlift,
and have them pay attention.
Yeah,
you feel that muscle you just activated.
Yeah. Who did the study?
I didn't read who did the study. It was some university, but they're trying to discredit activation, type.
Terrible.
What's a school you can make fun of real quick?
I mean, so many holes in that. And here's the other thing too.
Well, Tulane.
Here's the other thing. This is why I hate muscle activation studies. Like
they don't translate to building.
They don't.
No.
They don't.
No. You can see some great activation in your quads from a leg extension, but it ain't going to build more than squats. And sometimes squats show less activation in some of those studies than a leg extension.
Right.
Yeah. So activation.
So riddle me that.
Yeah.
That's why it's like
you
have to take some of these studies with a grain of salt, because I hate ones like this, because it takes something that is anybody who is trained for longer than 5 years, okay? You've trained hundreds of people by this time. that has helped somebody activate a muscle or feel a muscle in an exercise so therefore to go develop that muscle more. Obviously, if you can't feel your butt in an exercise, you're trying to feel it so you can then develop it. Knows that doing exercises that activate or prime that, like tube walks, like floor bridges, are incredible. You've tested it with enough people to know that it works. I don't need a study to tell me if it does or doesn't work. I've applied it enough times, and I've applied it enough times I didn't apply it and see the difference. It's very clear on how much that helps the client. And so when you isolate it to a muscle activation and we're just measuring activation, it's like, okay, well, that's a part of this process. It's not the entire process or the entire desired outcome of this person. So yeah, what a terrible study.
I have a news article here I have been waiting to share. And I can't wait to tell you about this, Justin.
Let's hear it.
So I'm going to read.
Did you say Justin?
Justin's going to love
It's going to be weird.
Lame conspiracy theory stuff.
No, this was in the news, dude, and it was reported on multiple outlets.
That's
okay,
real news, Adam.
this is real, bro. You could trust the news. No, this is real because they have medical records on stuff. So here's the title. Here's the title of the article. Woman suffers a 7-year infection after her boyfriend farted in her face.
Stop it. Is it a lawsuit? Is it a lawsuit?
Shut up.
Hey, this is California for sure.
Listen.
California can sue for anything.
No, Australia.
Whoa.
An Australian woman has fallen victim to what might be described as the most vindictive biological attack in relationship history. Christine Connell endured years of persistent facial pain before discovering the cause of her boyfriend's fart. It turned out, after a nose swab,
What kind of bacteria that guy like,
she had been suffering
producing?
from an E. coli bacteria that was lodged in her sinuses. The medical professionals
Bro,
were
the
baffled.
power
This
on
guy
that
should
guy.
get an award.
Yeah, the power.
So what happened, they believe they found the cause. So what happened was she was in a hotel room following an ankle surgery. So she's like, laid up or whatever.
Yeah.
And her boyfriend farted in her face while she was bedridden and vulnerable. I like how they say that.
Yeah. Was he like all like no pants, like raw?
Hey, this is what she's
raw dog. For
Come
sure.
on,
This
man.
is a real
To
story.
get E. coli.
Unfiltered.
Bro, to get E. coli.
He was
from a fart.
unfiltered. Dude.
Yeah.
That was particulate
That's
in the
cheek
air.
spreading.
It was a
There's
bare ass
some-
fart.
There's some cheek spreading going on.
She got some debris on her face.
Listen to what she said. She said, this is a quote from the woman.
Yeah, that's gnarly, dude.
This is a quote from the woman. It was the worst fart I've ever smelled in my life.
Bro, if she wins,
Wow.
If she win,
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I don't know.
if she wins,
Did you say 7 years?
7 years.
how do they tie it to that?
I don't know.
Because she suffered from the bacteria for that long.
Yeah, and they said E. coli comes from. I mean, it's got to come from. Like,
Imagine you're the judge that has to take that case.
bro. Imagine if you're the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're like, dang.
You're
getting
famous.
sued for this?
I'm sorry.
Oh no,
Like, I'm
Bro,
really sorry.
Nah,
You don't think he's apologizing?
Nah, not even.
They broke up, by the way.
He's,
They're not
he's
together.
famous right now, and you know
Yeah.
how weird people are too. He's probably getting more tail because of
He's
it.
gonna start doing it in jars. And
Yes,
selling
exactly.
It, dude.
I mean, he's gonna get rich over it.
Yeah,
you know?
bro. I mean,
Bro.
that's what I do. I start
Reading this,
packaging
though,
those things.
You know how many potential infections we could have gotten? Because how many times guys fart in each other's faces and blast each other? That's dangerous. you
atomic
guys.
sit-ups. And
Yeah.
everything else.
Oh boy. Yeah, dude.
That's so wild.
7
7-year infection. I know. Anyway, here's some scary news.
Wow.
So
Oh man, I was really hoping you were gonna transition that into like a Caldera commercial.
if you only had Caldera oil on your face.
For like healthy
block.
back. I thought for sure you were gonna go from that to like healthy
Face
by
by
Take your
Caldera.
probiotics.
yes, dude. I was waiting for the commercial transition.
Hey, speaking of Caldera Lab, let me ask you guys a question.
Okay.
There's a before and after we use Caldera Lab. Do you guys get compliments on your skin ever now? Does that ever happen to you guys?
Yeah,
now?
yeah, of course.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I never got
I
compliments.
mean,
on
it's
my
weird
skin.
as a guy to feel
It is
but
weird.
Yeah, that's what gets me keep
Courtney
doing
gets
it.
angry because she literally is a chimp.
What do you mean? What? Wow.
What did you just do to your wife?
I'm just saying, she like wants to pick and
I
pop
said, bro.
pimples, and she doesn't look like a chimp. Thank God.
I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah,
She throws poop.
Your poor wife has to listen to this.
she's way better looking than a chimp, you guys.
What if it gets worse? She's hairy. Her face.
I gotta shave her back.
Bro. Oh, your poor
So
wife.
she tries to squeeze her like zits and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and she'll watch those videos.
I know,
Like that's
dude.
like her thing. Like if I'm watching TV and like she, stops
And
talking, it's like
I believe every woman is okay with it. Some love it. Isn't
Love
that
it.
weird? Yeah, isn't that weird?
She's-
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate
But
it.
she's mad that she didn't get to see my tooth pus
What?
situation.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, ew, why?
Yeah, no, my wife, if I ever get a pimple and I pop it and she realizes that I popped it, it's a fight. She actually gets mad at me. Why would you
She
do
just
that?
gets, I mean, she gets mad because my skin's not that bad.
No.
Katrina's not that crazy.
No,
Although I don't think it grosses her out. She definitely wouldn't be grossed out by it, but she's not like.
No, but I get
dated
compliments
girls like
on my skin, like my family member stuff all the time because of Caldera Lab, which is wild as a man. You never expect those kind of compliments.
No.
All right, I got a study.
Okay.
Not a study, excuse me, an article. So a Chinese couple got caught smuggling in a fungus into the U.S. I have the name.
This is Harvard.
I have no.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, that was, what was that?
I don't know.
That was
I
something.
thought you knew it.
No, that was something else. They're trying to connect it to the CCP.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Okay. So it's a fungus called Fusarium graminarium. Okay. That sounds like a magic spell on Harry Potter. They were smuggling it in. Okay. You guys want to know what this fungus does? Yeah. It causes something called Fusarium head blight. It could lead to yield losses of up to 50% in crops, like wheat, corn, and rice. In other words, and they literally were smuggling it. They were smuggling this fungus in. So what they could have done
blight
is infected some crops and caused the price of food and everything to skyrocket in the U.S.
How do you get caught smuggling a fungus?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think they got caught with little packets of something, and then the TSA is like, "What is this?"
Yeah,
and then they looked into it, and they're like, "Oh, this is."
It must look for a picture because it must have to So what I picture of like a fungus, I picture like just a little jar.
No, it was little baggies. I saw a picture of it.
You did?
Yeah.
Was there lots of them?
There was like 5 little baggies that I got caught with.
They couldn't get through with that?
You know what's weird? I know you've gotten through.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've known people get through with a lot more than that, dude. You couldn't get through with 5 things of fungus?
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
I know, but crazy,
That's
right?
scary, dude.
It also
highlights how dumb criminals are.
I know, dude. It also gets people sick. So if it gets in the food or it gets in the soil, it's hard to get rid of.
How often do you guys think that type of funny business happens?
Bro, what it highlights to me is how easy you could go mess up
That's what I mean.
a country's economy.
Yeah, you've seen it in corporate espionage all the time where like people will do these things to ruin other companies' products.
They got caught with that.
Yeah.
You could not smuggle that.
I know.
See, doesn't that raise more to you?
Like you couldn't put that
If
in
I
like
gave
an
you guys
Advil-
those 5 baggies and said, we got to smuggle this, okay?
Justin will keister it.
Yeah.
You could easily keister that. You could also easily
It might intermingle
hide it in your
with E. coli,
you could hide it in your peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like, I mean, come on, look how easy that would be.
I know.
That doesn't even make sense.
I know. But if you're exposed to it, it'll make people sick. It also
I realized that lady had 7 years of bad luck.
from
That whole thing, it's
from
real.
a fart. Yeah, dude. So to me, it's almost like, oh my God, like, is it that easy that you could literally smuggle in this terrible fungus? You could spread it on some field in Iowa or whatever, and next thing you know,
Let's give people more ideas.
Well, isn't that why we even have our own like state by state laws, like because of like certain flies and insects. Like if you get a certain insect that comes in from Mexico that gets in and hits some of our crops. I mean, it could devastate us.
Like that's why I was all alarmed when they're talking about like engineering new types of mosquitoes.
Did I
I'm
tell
like,
you guys
wait a
about the mosquito traps that I found at my house?
what do you mean found?
So when I got this new place, around the edge of the property, are these like they look like speakers. They almost look like a speaker or like a pot for a plant. And that's what I thought it was at first. And I almost threw them away. And I'm like, why is there multiple of these? And why are they all tipped over? Like, could not figure it out for the life of me. And eventually I was asking Katrina about it. I'm like, have you seen all the weird pots we have around? She goes, oh no. She goes, the previous owner told me those are like mosquito traps. And
so what do? They put like water with poison in it or something?
Yeah. So and they basically they pick it up, they go back and then they infest their entire and they're commercial grade. So like you like private those.
I should get those.
Yeah, well, you're not even supposed to be able to privately be able to pick them up. So because I did all this homework on it, looking it up,
mosquitoes are crazy at my property.
So I'm by a creek or a river, right? Yeah. So but they put them. But what's been tripping everybody out at my house because it's summer, it's warm right now, and we have mosquitoes. This whole everyone's like, do you have no mosquitoes or flies here? That's crazy. And I'm like, it must be these things that they have out there.
Hook a brother up.
I'm going to show you when we get off air. I'll look them up to you, but they're commercial grade mosquito traps that look like speakers. I bet
They're
you
illegal.
if you huh?
He's got illegal traps.
I know. I didn't even know that was like a thing.
Do you guys react to so mosquito bites here in California barely affect me. If I get a mosquito bite, it's tiny. When I was
all the time.
When I was in Mexico and I got a mosquito bite, it was like a welt.
Yeah.
It's for whatever reason. Do you guys respond differently to different places with mosquitoes?
Yeah, well, some of them don't bother me at all, but then sometimes, like, I don't know what it is, but they love me. Like some places, like I just get attacked by all of them. You know what I got bit by the other day was the biggest horse fly. I was like so angry because it was still there, and
Oh, is that it right there?
Yeah, see the speaker, the one that looks like a speaker?
Into care, you can buy it.
Yeah.
Anybody could buy it.
No. I think you pull it up. I think you have to have like a license to get it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think you have to have a license to order it.
It's all right. They're genetically modifying mosquitoes to spy on us or something. Anyway, pretty soon.
Yeah, it says mosquito con water holding receptacle. Weird, right?
Yeah.
Never even heard of these before.
I didn't know mosquitoes were really an issue around here. I never notice.
Well, it depends on where you live. Like Justin and I live by redwood trees and by a creek or a river. If you live by water, still water or water that sits, and then redwood trees and stuff like that, like, oh yeah. And I've got both those, and so does Justin. And so that'll really bring them in.
Neighbor has this old, like, rusted out barbecue pit that he just like leaves somewhere junked, and it just has this well of water. And
that's mosquito land.
Dude, we went up there and we were just like all these little larvae everywhere.
Yeah.
So I put some chemicals.
You're with all the rich people too. They get rid of all that stuff.
Yeah,
over there.
I'm with all the hillbillies, dude. I am like the king of the hillbillies.
Where I live.
Yeah,
It's all right. All right, I got another study to talk about to you guys about. They compared strength training versus static stretching for hamstrings for flexibility.
Ooh.
Guess what? Strength training was as effective at improving flexibility. And they didn't even test mobility or stability. Obviously, strength training will crush that. But for flexibility, strength training done properly.
Strength and range of motion.
So good, though. You've been talking about this forever on the podcast, and I think a lot of people don't get that because for the longest time, everyone's always thought that strength training constricts you and makes you tight and makes you less flexible. Mm-hmm. But done properly, it actually increases that.
It's when your body doesn't recognize that angle, that range. It's like there's a reserve there. It's a protective mechanism. So if you're going through that full range of motion, you're strong in that range of motion. You're plenty flexible.
Now, can strength training make you tighter? It can. When you do the same exercises over and over, your body becomes very strong in a particular way. And it's the strength ratio between some movements and other movements that you never practice gets so large that your body goes, we're just going to move like this.
And when you shorten the range.
That's what I mean.
So let's say you take somebody who's never strength trained before, and they can comfortably sit down in a deep squat, right? And like with their body weight. But then when they go squat and lift weights, they stop at 90 degrees all the time, and they get strong. They go from doing 100 pounds, and they get stronger. Now they're squatting 300 pounds, but they only squat down 300. But sooner or later, the body will be like, oh, we don't feel safe below.
We can only do 100 pounds down here.
Yeah. So then you feel like you're constricted, right? And shortened and tight. So
did you guys know that the Turkish get-up world record, barbell Turkish get-up world record?
Was that just broken?
I saw the guy do it.
I saw the video.
Did you see him do it?
Do you know how much weight he did?
Yeah, he did 275, right?
255.
255. Yeah.
One arm.
Did you watch him do it?
I did.
Bro,
one arm.
So impressive.
One arm.
I give up.
Turkish get-up with a
barbell. So impressive.
255.
You know how hard it is to do the 45-pound bar?
Yeah.
Just to do the 45-pound bar is hard.
Yeah.
To do that. Just to balance it, stabilize it, and get all the way up like that.
255
Most I've ever done with that is 135.
You've done 135 before?
Yeah.
With the bar?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
You're a moose.
Well, I'm the only one that does shit like that. You guys don't do that.
I mean, I was on a kick for a minute trying that stuff, and it was like way hard. It was too hard.
I have abs.
I gave up. I have abs. Oh, bro, touche.
It hurts.
It'd be nice to jelly donut.
I feel nothing. I feel nothing but joy.
Stop it. Stop
Jovial joy.
Yeah. Have you guys ever, of course you haven't, but are you guys familiar with those like really, you've seen videos, right? Where people post of flying on those super low cost airlines like Ryanair or whatever.
Yeah,
Has
anybody here ever? Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, Spirit, yeah.
Did you fly on it?
I've got Spirit one time.
You did too?
I have too.
What was it
gangster. It was like, oh man, it was chaos.
There were like chickens.
People fighting and like
Really?
yelling at each other, and yeah, it was bad.
There's another one called Spirit, and then there's
Ryanair.
There's another really cheap one over here, and it's slipping me, and
there's super
Frontier.
Yeah,
and they're super cheap.
very cheap.
They're super.
Yeah, well, that's why you did it. And I was in
But
college
let me
and
tell
I did
you,
it.
like showing up, but you pay for all the little things.
Yeah,
too.
you have to pay for every bag. But if it's
they
just you by
nickel dime
yourself,
you.
like the tickets are like $40 sometimes or whatever.
But it feels like you're paying for a $40
Did you
flight.
see? Have you guys seen the new
Didn't they
seat?
fly somewhere wrong? This happened to my friend. He flew Spirit. they went to Vegas instead of Reno. I was like, how does that even happen? What? Like,
I've never heard of that.
I swear to God, this happened. I'm like, I
got,
gotta
like,
get you a new flight. Like,
got,
I
like,
bought
drunk pilots?
Yeah. Like,
Wait,
what?
His ticket said Reno. They just went to
Yeah,
Vegas?
so they went to Vegas. And like, yeah, we're gonna have to stop in Vegas.
they don't have
There's no
satellite.
return
They don't have anything like that. They're just
I swear, I can't explain. I swear to God, this happened, dude. I could verify this.
Bro, how bad would you be if you were gonna
Dude, crazy. He missed like the whole night hanging out with us because he
I didn't
went to
even know that was
the wrong
possible,
place.
bro.
Was it just the pilot just changed his mind? Like, we're gonna go here, guys.
Yeah, like for some reason
Like
they had to go there instead.
I gotta make the game.
And just, hey, everybody's coming with us. You guys didn't pay enough to make decisions here.
Have you guys seen the new seats that they're gonna roll out for some of these airlines?
For just the cheap ones?
Isn't that perspective the one that's up high and then the guy's like
No,
down low?
bro.
was like-
Dylan, look up stand-up seat airline stand-up seats.
Stand-up seats?
Yes, dude.
It's like the idea they had at stadiums where you have like standing room like options is really
they've done
cheap.
that.
And
Bro,
it's like,
but this is pull up the picture. Oh, here they are.
no way.
Those are seats right there that they're going to start putting in these airlines to save money.
More ergonomical.
No, scroll. Look at that one right there. How people will be sitting.
Yeah, it looks real comfortable.
That is going to result in fights.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Now, how safe is that, right? In turbulence? You know,
I mean,
it's
you're
like a bike
bro,
seat.
you're going down. You're going down.
I mean,
So-
you're kind of.
I mean,
supported.
turbulence. I don't mean.
the turbulence is
Like they give you,
know what
they give you a little gooch pad.
what a pilot or like is what
pad.
turbulence is to them. It's like us going over a speed bump.
Yeah, I
in
know.
a
He told me
parking
that
lot.
to make me feel better that
I
one
know.
time.
So
I
turbulence
still
is
get
like,
scared.
it's like I know me too. It helps though. I always tell myself that speed bump.
Yeah, dude. Oh, my wife gets anxious, bro. If it's
Yeah, so does
on
Courtney.
takeoff and land, does she really?
She used to have she'd grab my hand and then would literally grab it so hard I had like no more blood like in my
So
arm.
is this really for sure going to happen? Or is this like
Yeah.
they're really
Yeah.
to so you can
Yeah,
get safe?
because it can sell them even cheaper because you can squeeze in X amount more people. You know? Yeah, Jessica gets really scared. So and what sucks about that, I feel so bad for her because we were across aisles, so we have to like do this across aisles.
Yeah.
Is she gets anxious, but I get motion sickness, so I can't look
you guys
at
are
her.
a great
So I'm
combo.
trying to support her with my eyes closed like this, like just hold my hand, baby. I can't even because if I look around while we're taking
She's
off,
pulling you and you're like, whoa.
yeah, and I'll end up getting sick. You know?
Oh god.
Stupid. Wow. I got a testimonial I want to read to you guys about one of our partners, Rock Recovery.
Oh,
Did you
I
guys
saw that
see it?
in the forum.
Yes,
Yeah,
dude.
that's great.
Yeah.
That makes
This
me.
is
It always makes me happy when I see
know.
stuff like that.
So I'm in White wrote this. This is in our private forum. I cannot thank you all enough for your partnership with Rock Recovery. I have a very close family member who has been battling with alcohol addiction for almost 2 decades. He just got out of the hospital, barely surviving liver failure. And in active desperation, I suggested that my family reach out to Rock Recovery. Those are our friends. They have a great rehab facility. We trust them. They do such an amazing job. And they got in touch with Ben. Ben is one of the guys that runs it over there. Now here's where this is why these guys are so awesome. Unfortunately, we weren't able to admit my family member to the facility because his insurance didn't cover it. However, Ben quickly got us in contact with another center in Florida, and my family member willingly agreed to go. That's what I love about these guys. Like they're just going to help you.
Integrity.
They're
Yeah.
just going to help you. They made no money. You didn't go. They didn't help you out. They didn't go to their center. But he's like, okay, what's your insurance?
I love that.
Let me find a place that can help you out. Let me send you over. That's why these guys are just
I mean, it's changed their lives, right?
yeah.
So they didn't get into it because they're like, oh, there's good money to be made in this market. It was like, hey, this was something that
Just helping people.
it's just like we talk about this.
Honestly.
We talk about this in the trainer space, right? Like one of the best trainers or the trainer that like lost all the weight and got in shape and it changed their life. It's like they're purpose driven, you know, so they have a different mission behind what they're doing, and it always results in a more successful, better business, or most of the time. I shouldn't say all the time.
Which is awesome. But for our listeners, Rock Recovery offers a scholarship. I'm not sure how often. I think it's every 2 or 3 months. So if you go, what's the link? Do we have the link there, Dylan? What is that? Read that to me. What is that? It's a 4-month scholarship. It's rockrecoverycenter.com/mind pump, and they're going to pick a winner this month. So you can go, go check that out. By the way, Dylan's doing our production because Doug is sick right now.
Yeah, Doug's never out. If he's sick, he must be really sick. He doesn't get that sick.
Where did he get it from? I'm
worried. Poor Doug. I know. If it was up to Doug, he'd be in here sick and everyone else sick. He makes me so mad. Yeah. He always does. He comes in here and I look at him like, this happened before. I look at Doug. I'm like, you don't look good, bro. He's like, yeah, I got a fever. What the hell are you doing?
He's that dog in hell, the meme. I'm fine.
Oh yeah.
Especially him, because he can have one of the guys sub for him, where like one of you knuckleheads is different. You know what I'm saying? So until we get that whole.
What do you guys think he's doing right now at home, sick right now? What do you guys think he's doing?
Watching movies.
Watching movies?
Anime. Watching a lot of anime.
Watching old Mind Pump episodes.
Calligraphy.
Yeah. Do you think he ever listens to I don't think he listens to Mind Pump ever.
Yeah, he hates us.
Yeah.
He does it all the time. It's like
he's definitely not listening. He's like,
I don't want to listen to those guys.
Yeah, he's definitely watching anime or doing something like that.
Dude, he's playing his flute.
Yeah. Right? Oh yeah, he's probably playing. Well, no, he's got a sore throat, so he's not doing that.
He's playing a sad song on a Japanese flute. The guys told me not to come in today.
Oh man.
They're replacing me. They're replacing me with Dylan.
So sad.
Dylan, we will never replace Doug. We love you.
Yeah.
So you're always going to be here too. But Doug, we love Doug. He's our brother. The world's best probiotic, hands down, is Seed. Look, probiotics can have incredible health benefits, mental health benefits, skin health benefits, benefits for gut health, of course. Seed blows everyone away. Go check them out. Go to seed.com/mind pump. Use the code 25mindpump. Get 25% off. Back to the show.
Our first question is from Steph Lynn C. For mostly Adam, what are your top recommended books for self-improvement and leadership? I know a couple have been sprinkled in various episodes, but I can't find them.
Mostly me, because they know I'm the only one that reads. That's why.
He's a reader, you guys.
In regards to leadership
and self-improvement.
Yeah. Okay. Anything John C. Maxwell, developing the leader within, developing the leaders around you, 360 leader, 10 laws of leadership. Those are all incredible. Self-improvement, Atomic Habits. God, what's another really good one?
Reinvent Yourself.
What'd you say?
Reinvent Yourself.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
A good one.
God, off the top of my head, I used to share
Resistance Training Revolution.
Huh? Sorry, my bad. Resistance Training Revolution. That's a good fitness book. It's not much of a self-improvement book. I believe we have a thing, and maybe Dylan, you can look up, but we used to have a Amazon thing that had all the.
Oh, how would you find that?
I have no idea how to find half of our stuff like that, but I know we had. I know we had
a list of our books.
Yeah, you get all my coloring books.
Yeah, and I know I have at least probably 10 on there. I tell you what, like this is Stephanie, I think, or Steph Lynn that's asking this. If you guys hit me up on either my day in the life on the story, or do it on one of the days I do my questions,
or you could text them.
Oh, there's a good book right there. Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is a great book.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, where's my list? I think I have a list.
Why was a can of sardines on there?
It's you. It was for you. These are all of our.
This is Doug's, isn't it?
These are all the things that Mind Pump recommend. I thought I had a whole book list, but I'll do more of that. I know I used to do that. I haven't been reading as much as I used to. So although maybe this is what will kickstart that back for me. And you can also.
What's that book you were reading about parenthood?
Yeah, but that's
self-improvement. That's a great father self-improvement book.
I mean, that's
a great book, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was an incredible book. It was the
Some Up with the Brain.
Whole Brain Child.
That's it. I loved when you were telling me about that.
I mean, that's an incredible book for parenting, though. When someone asked me like a parenting book, I would go that direction. Self-help is different. You know, that's I think
You
that
see like Jordan Peterson's The 12 Rules. Or
12 Rules
That was a good book.
12 is a great book.
Oh, there's your books right there.
Yep.
There we go.
What are they? Read them out. I can't even read that.
Ego's the Enemy, The Alchemist. Here we go. Here's a bunch on there, right? So, Winning, 360 Leader, I already said. 1 Minute Manager. Yeah, those are all good. The Alchemist, yeah, we said that.
Do you have any books, Justin?
Dr. Doolittle and coloring books.
What was for
two
both
fish.
of you two? What was the last really good book that you read?
Well, you know what I'm going to say right now. I'm getting
Well, yeah, you
impacted.
can't say the Bible. I've already
Why?
said that the Bible covers everything. I've already said that. I told you this a long time ago, and I'll say it
Like
again.
you're the one that was the first person to read the Bible.
No. I'm the first person to probably tell you this, that every great...
one.
Okay, I just listed off a ton of books, okay?
Yeah.
One of the things, and I know like, obviously we have people that are, atheists and whatever, and they, as soon as you say things like the Bible, they get turned off of it. But one of the things, being somebody who later in his life became a big reader, early in my life, the only real book I actually read was the Bible. That was all I was taught in. And one of the things, the dots that I connected, I realized, like, as I started reading all these other kind of secular books, almost every good secular book, the philosophy is that made him good is rooted in something that you could have learned in the Bible. Yeah. So if you were to ask me what I think for the ultimate self-help, ultimate go-to everything book, that's it, dude. It's got the answers.
Here's what I'll tell people about the Bible. And what got me to first start looking at it before I even became a Christian was I realized that Western civilization was based on this religion. So if you value the values of Western civilization that we don't always express well, okay, but we do hold these values, right? Like liberty, right? The concept of liberty came from, God created man in his image. If you value treating women with respect, like that started in the Bible. Remember, that was written or thousands of years ago when women were treated like property. If you value a lot of the values of respect and caring for the sick and love and that kind of stuff, that those Western values came from the Bible. And I'm in it now as a Christian, and I could sit here for 2 hours and tell you guys about some of the wisdom. The most recent thing I got from it was and it applied to something that happened in my life. I read the book of Job. And the book of Job's in the Old Testament, and it's widely believed to be the oldest book that was written in the Bible. So it's one of the first books to be written. It's really the story of this guy. God summons his angels. The devil shows up. God's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, I've been patrolling the earth." And he goes, "Oh, then you must have seen Job. He's a great man. He's righteous." And the devil goes, "Well, he's only righteous because you bless him so much." So God allows the devil to essentially curse this man. And all these terrible things happen to this man. And as this is happening to him, like he loses his fortune, loses his family. Eventually he gets sick with boils and just it's terrible. And his friends visit him and they're basically like, "You must have done something wrong, Job." And Job's like, "No, I'm a good guy. I don't understand why this is happening. I wish God would tell me," or whatever. And there's a few things I learned from there. One was how to be with people when they're in grief. There's a point in that story where Job looks at his friends and goes, "You guys are terrible at comforting me," because they just keep telling him why he's wrong.
Yeah.
And in reality, what this taught me, which is true, when people are sad and they're hurting, they don't want your advice. What they want you to just sit with them. They just want you to sit with them. And the other thing I got from it was things oftentimes aren't going to make sense. And so the story at the very end, God appears and goes, "Where were you when I made the countless stars? And where were you when I gave the bison breath? And Job realizes, like, I can't possibly understand the way things work, and I'm sorry." And of course, God restores him. And this for me was timely because I lost an uncle just recently, was unexpected, and trying to make sense of things like death, it's like you can't. But in the timeline of eternity, especially if you believe in higher power, then you start to realize, like, I can't possibly understand these things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's somewhat related to that too. I mean, something I get out of that story as well is just like the integrity part of it is like doing the right thing just to do the right thing, with no strings. Like
not because
he's not getting some kind of reward. He's not getting. This isn't like a genie where you're asking or you're you're trying to show how you're doing all the right things and you're expecting something, you know, in return. Whereas like, even though it's like he's going through all this trial tribulation, he's still going to do the right thing. That's just his character. That's who he is.
Yes.
Well, and then, go ahead. Sorry, Justin.
Oh, well, I was going to talk about my book that I read.
What
I
is
did
it?
read a book.
Yeah. What is it?
Fucking yes.
What is it? What is it, dog?
Hero with 1,000 Faces.
Oh, there you go.
Joseph
That's actually been on
Campbell.
my list to read that, and I haven't read
Really
that book.
good, really good. I'm really big into mythology, legends, and like
So that's about the hero's
around
journey,
the world.
right?
Yeah, the hero's journey, but also too like he does a good job incorporating and defining a lot of the different like folklore, mythology, and everything in all kinds of different cultures. And it was actually the book that inspired Lucas to create Star Wars, and also, you know, a lot of these other like famous sci-fi writers
that's
like
so
were
great.
inspired by
Well,
it.
so to close the loop on the point that I was making about how everything sins, I swear in my life is tied back to the Bible. So the point you're making right now. So I also love to read behavioral psychology, and I pay attention to a lot of psychologists and their tips and advice and things like that. So that's a lot of stuff I listen to. I recently had this like aha moment of like, and I think I shared it with you, with parenting and with my wife, like in a situation where she's been frustrated or had a bad day, or my son didn't get picked for a team or something like that. Like the natural thing that the man and the husband does is just like try and fix and solve the problem.
Yeah.
You know, is just like, and well, did you not try hard enough, son? Or did you, you know, next time we got to work harder? Or telling my wife like, well, why did they do that? Or she's a bitch, or like, you know, like have this thing that you have to have the solution when, and all your greatest psychologists and behavioral people will tell you, oh no, the thing you do in that moment is you just be with them.
You listen.
Yeah.
You just listen. You don't give advice. You don't tell them anything. You just be. You just be, and it looks more like this. Like, oh man, that sucks.
You want to know what's funny?
And again, it ties right back to that story that you're sharing right now. And it's just like, this is my point. Is the secular version from your psychologists that are out there would teach it in a different way. It's like, well, that's rooted in the book of Job, one of the oldest books in the Bible.
Well, what's funny, and I don't know, I think it's either in Ephesians or 2 Peter, where it talks about husbands and wives, because they both books talk about that. It tells men, this is for marriage, men, love your wives in an understanding way, and women, respect your husbands. Now, the psychology will tell you that when your wife brings a problem to you, she doesn't want you to fix it. She just wants you to just be understanding. And what men want more than anything is to feel respected. Yeah. How weird is that this is in
It's a big
book?
difference.
It's not weird. That's what to me.
Well, it was weird to me before.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been this like,
because now I know God's truth.
yeah,
is
it's
all
been
truth,
this constant aha moments of because as a kid, you know, obviously I was very much so indoctrinated by it because everything I was in church all the time, and then in my 20s I kind of went away from it. My mid 20s was when I became a bit of a reader and started reading a lot, and I'm latching on to all these great secular books. But then I'm also going like, oh yeah, I
remember reading that.
I know this lesson, you know, I've learned this, but this is a secular book that came in. It's like, oh, duh. You know, like all these greatest minds, these great authors that we all talk about and tout in the secular world, many of all that great ideology, philosophy was rooted in some of the stuff that I was being taught when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Question number 2 is from C. Bitar 24. What mobility/static stretches do you recommend a BJJ athlete to do every day?
Oh yeah, this
Refer to
is
you guys.
This is good, right? So for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the kind of mobility you're going to need. First off, you're going to need a lot
Hip and ankles,
a lot of hip mobility, lots and lots of hip mobility. So pigeon 90-90 is really good. Deep squats are going to be like sitting squats are going to be really good. You also want rotational mobility. You want lots of rotational mobility in the thoracic spine and then the lumbar spine because of the twisting that's involved. But really, I can't stress this enough. Like when you look at a really good jiu-jitsu fighter and you want to find where they're flexible, it's their hips. I mean, I know jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah.
I know jiu-jitsu guys with hamstrings that are not flexible whatsoever. But their hips, like they can put their foot behind their head because of
Gets
the
them
position.
out of every like situation.
It's also involved when you're in the guard and the half guard and you're doing submissions and you're using legs in all these submissions. So I would say hip mobility by far is one of the most important things. As far as strength is concerned, because then the next question typically I was like, what kind of strength am I looking for? Lots of core strength, especially static strength, because if you're fighting off your back, your core fatigues, you're screwed, and then your hands. Like a grappler with strong hands
grip is huge.
Is dangerous. Like they get a hold of you, and it's like you could grapple with someone that's half as strong as you, but if their hands are strong,
wouldn't you say it's like one of the number one attributes for that?
Oh, you just feel like,
and maintaining that, like the work capacity.
I told you guys that. I think I told you this before. That was like a big. I connected those dots later on. Was all my farm and dairy work, and so when I would wrestle with my buddies that were wrestlers and stronger than me, like they definitely had better technique, better wrestlers than I was. But I could just. Once I got a hold of you, like I wouldn't let go, and they couldn't do anything. And so like I didn't know that till later, like why. It was like, oh, that makes sense. Like I'm fucking milking 150 cows every day. Like, like I got this vicious grip.
Watch out, I'm gonna milk you.
Whoa.
Next question is from L.A. Sub. I've run Anabolic 3 times and keep seeing mad gains in strength and aesthetics. Do I have to switch programs?
This is
good question.
This is one of the number one mistakes that people make with MAPS Anabolic, because what its greatest strength is its greatest weakness. So MAPS Anabolic, for a lot of people, just because it's appropriate volume, good programming, the blah, 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 it produces incredible visible change of the body, strength and muscle. People report, especially people who've been working out for a long time, man, MAPS Anabolic, I got gains like I've never had in my entire life. And so what they want to do is they want to keep hitting this button.
Yep.
And they want to stay in MAPS Anabolic.
Yeah.
The problem with MAPS Anabolic is it's somewhat limited in its variety of exercises. It builds tons of muscle and strength, and it's a great program. But if you always do MAPS Anabolic, you're not doing a lot of rotation. You're not doing a lot of lateral stuff. There's no unilateral work or very little. And so you can actually start to develop injury and problems. So for this person right here, you can run it 2 times or 3 times in a row. But after that, do performance or symmetry. You'll get better gains.
I interrupt it.
I would say this is right here, like this is the red line of it, right? So this is the max. You've heard us probably talk. So because this puts this person at 9 months.
Yep.
Okay, 9 months of running that type of programming, and you totally can get away with it, especially with younger people that don't already have like issues. The older you get, probably the less times you can run this in a row. But you could easily do this if you're young and mobile and don't have any joint pain or anything like that. But around this time is when I would recommend to people. So the kind of general rule that I tell clients or friends or people that are asking a question like this is like, just 1 time a year, run either symmetry or performance. 1 time a year. And you can interrupt those and split it in the middle is probably the best way to do it. Like 2 times of anabolic, then 2 times, that would probably be the best. But as long as you get a year, get that in every year, should do a good job of keeping you pretty balanced, doing multiplanar stuff, unilateral work, rotational stuff, that I think is really good to keep your joints healthy and you moving optimally in different planes and protect you. I think that would be good advice. But I get it because it gets addictive, you know?
Yep.
Our next question is from Mari Dav 2024. I often hear you say on the show that strength training is the best way to sculpt specific areas of the body. What are the best exercises for the inner thighs or sculpted thighs in general?
Yeah, I'm glad they said the second part. So inner thighs, if you look at the musculature of the inner thighs, it's like a tiny muscle, 1 or 2 muscles in the middle. They're really mainly used for stabilization. Can you develop them? Yeah. Is it going to make a difference the way you look? No. The best exercises for thigh shaping are barbell squats, Bulgarian split stance squats, all your deadlifts, if you include the glutes, looking at hip thrusts, that kind of stuff, lunges, that's going to give you the best results. I almost never did inner thigh exercises with any of my clients. The only time I would was in a correctional way. Like if I needed
an athlete, needed that.
Yeah, like if I needed to strengthen that kind of stability, if they had, if they couldn't adduct very well, and I saw their knees
extremely rotated too much.
That's right. But there was never like, oh, we're going to develop this area. Those machines that exist in the gym, besides potential correctional exercise benefits, have like 0 other benefit. You're just a waste of time to do them.
You're far better off doing all the exercises. I mean, single leg deadlifts, Bulgarian split squats, squats in general, stiff legged deadlifts, front squats, barbell back squats. Like, man, just if you just rotated through all of those and got strong, right? So the goal is to get strong in those lifts. That was what's going to make your legs look the best and the most sculpted inner thighs that you can have. Doing a bunch of side plank leg raises or abductor adductor machines or Thigh Master or any of these bullshit.
Meanwhile, Thigh Master is the top selling fitness equipment of all time.
God.
I know.
A spring.
And it's the simplicity of it, right? It's simple, it's easy.
And it targets a pain area.
Yeah.
Women are like inner thighs.
And you feel it burn. You feel it burn in that area. And it's like, that does not mean you're going to get the legs. You will get the legs that you want by doing the things, the exercises that we just said, and getting strong in those exercises.
That's right. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. Shredded, ripped, defined, single-digit body fat.
Yes.
You want to get there? Let's talk about it.
Difficult. And is it worth it? That's a follow-up question.
Yeah, first off, we got to say that, okay, so single-digit body fat, obviously, body fat percentages that can be represented by one digit, like 3%, 5%, 6%, 9%. That's ripped for men. For women,
add 10%.
Yeah, exactly. You go up about